PSN is running its really good days of play sale right now, and there are a lot of great deals. There are good deals on more expensive titles, however, there are a ton of good deals on games south of $10, and that's what I want to highlight in today's video. Specifically, we're going to be going over 10 games in total. 9 of them are just for PlayStation 4. One of them I did want to throw in a great deal on a PSVR game. We'll cover that at the end. Nonetheless, let's get right into it, and I want to kick things off with Wolfenstein, the 2-pack, which is 70% off for $8.99. This includes Wolfenstein, the New Order, and Wolfenstein the Old Blood. This is a great deal. Wolfenstein the New Order is awesome. It is a fantastic single-player first-person shooter, and yes, it's a single-player FPS, but it's one that's relatively lengthy. Gameplay is great. Story is solid. Wolfenstein gets a little bit off the rails at times, and it really showcases that in Wolfenstein 2, but I still thought it was really good. New Order had a lot of fun to be had. Old Blood is also pretty good. Obviously, that is a much shorter experience, but still very good in its own right, and to get both games for $9 I think is a really good buy. Wolfenstein 2 is also heavily discounted. That's down to $12, so if you do want to ultimately pick that up as well, that's a good buy on top of these two, but I definitely would recommend to play these games sequentially. Wolfenstein 2 does have a recap video, but just play with New Order. It's a great game. Old Blood's pretty good too, and then you can jump into New Order and have or I should say the Old Colossus, and you can have a great time with that as well. And I keep butchering the Wolfenstein 2 name. It's Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus, so there you go with that. Alright, next up, South Park The Stick of Truth is 67% off for $9.89. Now, I remember when this game initially came out, I want to say back in 2012, 2013, I was like, man, this is ridiculous. You really think a South Park in the video game in the form of a traditional turn-based RPG is going to work? I thought it was going to be a train wreck. I thought it was going to be terrible. Boy, oh boy, was I wrong. I did not give enough faith to Obsidian at the time. At that time, I wasn't really looking into developers and what they were all about, but Obsidian killed it with South Park The Stick of Truth. It was an awesome game. Now, I'm not even a big South Park fan, but the humor in this game absolutely got to me. I thought it was hilarious, and mechanically, the game was just a really well-made turn-based RPG. Story was funny, characters were great, and for $9.89, this is an awesome buy. The Fractured But Whole is also on sale, but I thought Stick of Truth was the superior game, maybe because of the shock value that I had just being just so surprised that South Park The Stick of Truth turned out to be such a great game, but highly recommended. Again, even if you're not a South Park fan, because that's where I came from. I don't have any opinion towards South Park. I've never really given the show a chance, but playing South Park The Stick of Truth, it was fantastic, and I had a great time with it. Next up, we have Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, 50% off for $9.99. This is an awesome deal. Yes, I know with Resident Evil, the majority of the attention these days are on Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, but Resident Evil 7 really reset the series in a fantastic way and showcased that Resident Evil can still be a phenomenal franchise. Resident Evil 6 left a lot to be desired, but Resident Evil 7 really invoked that element of survival horror that the franchise was missing. Obviously, with RE4, 5, and 6, they moved more so towards an action-oriented route, and I loved RE4, and I thought RE5 was pretty good. RE6 I thought was terrible, but RE7 was a nice change of pace, and I thought they did a really good job with this game. And by the way, if you have PlayStation VR, this is one of the best VR experiences you can have. The VR support is just done really well. It's pretty scary, and I would highly recommend it on that end as well. If you play it with traditional controls, still absolutely fine, still really good, and at a $9.99 price point, really good pickup here. And there is also a free demo available if you're not completely sold on it. You can check that out. Next up, we have Ratchet and Clank. So this is a ground-up remake of the very first Ratchet and Clank game, a franchise that is definitely nostalgic towards me, so I am going to be a little bit biased towards it. However, if you just want a quality action platformer, Ratchet and Clank is definitely going to offer you that. The Lombax and Clank, two awesome characters. I just think they're one of gaming's most underrated mascots. Ratchet and Clank isn't really heralded at that level anymore, and that's probably because the franchise has been absent for quite a while in terms of new game releases, but Ratchet and Clank back in 2016 was really good, and it did a lot of things right. Visually, it was fantastic. Particle effects were great. Gameplay was fantastic, and it still had that zany element that you know and love, all the wacky weapons and things of that nature. For $9.99, I think Ratchet and Clank is a great pickup. This was a PlayStation Plus game, I want to say back in like March of 2018, so maybe a lot of you guys already have it. If you don't, $9.99 for it is really good. Next up, here's a steal of a deal. Metal Gear Solid 5, the definitive experience, 75% off for $4.99. What a insane deal this is. So this includes Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, and a bunch of DLC on top of that. MGS5 is one of the more controversial games of this generation, based on the fact that, yes, it was Hideo Kojima's last Metal Gear title, and everything with Konami went down. However, if you assess MGS5 for what it is a very, very well-made open-world action stealth experience. Obviously, the narrative is told in a different way than other Metal Gear titles. However, that doesn't mean the narrative is bad. I don't want you guys to think that. It's just told differently. You don't have the lengthy cutscenes. Instead, the bulk of the story and the lore is evolved through the use of cassette tapes, and the audio cassette tapes were really well done, and there were a lot of enjoyable elements to the game. If you go into it expecting a traditional Metal Gear game, you might be a little bit disappointed based on the storytelling aspect of the title, but the gameplay is the Metal Gear gameplay you know and love, and this is one franchise that, yes, it transitioned into an open world environment, but the open world absolutely complemented the essence of the Metal Gear tactical espionage gameplay that you know and love, and that works so well. A lot of games that went open world, the open world nature of the game was actually a little bit of a detriment. With MGS5, it was absolutely beneficial to the overall enjoyability of the game, and for $4.99, the definitive experience is awesome. Alright, next up, here's one of my favorite fighting games of this generation, and that says a lot because fighting games have been killing it this gen outside of the insane amount of season passes, but we'll give them a slide for that for now. Injustice 2, 75% off for $4.99. Very, very good game. A lot of iconic characters here, of course, and the thing about Injustice 2 is I'm not a gigantic fan of fighting games, but Injustice 2 also offered a compelling single-player component that made it enjoyable to play for someone like me, and then, of course, I'll pop it in and play with friends every now and again when they're over. I'm not really taking the game online and getting super good at it. That's not my forte, but for $4.99, if you're looking for that kind of fighting game experience, or if you are looking to go online, it offers the best of both aspects, so I definitely give that a look, as it's a very good game, and for this cheap, it's definitely worthwhile. Alright, next up, here's a great platformer that unfortunately does not get enough love. That is Rayman Legends. It is 75% off for $4.99. Look, I played Rayman Origins when it came out, and that game was phenomenal. Rayman Legends is even better, and it's unfortunate to see that Rayman is another franchise that doesn't get a lot of love these days. It is just a really well-made platformer, and it harkens back to some of the best platformers that I've ever played. It's visually pleasing, has a little bit of challenge, but at the same time, incredibly charming, incredibly enjoyable, and for just $5, yes, it's not the longest game in the world, but you're paying $5 for it. I think it's absolutely worth it. Next up, we've got Batman Arkham Knight, 80% off for $3.99, and I do believe this is the cheapest Batman Arkham Knight has been. Unfortunately, this isn't the premium edition, so you don't get the DLC. However, $4 for Arkham Knight is still so insane that I think you guys should pick it up if you've never played it. I don't think Arkham Knight was quite as good as Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. Some of you guys always disagree with me on that, but nevertheless, Arkham Knight is a very good game in its own right. Open world is huge. A lot of content in the game. Story, in my opinion, isn't as strong as Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. It's fine, it's good, but I really think the gameplay is the standout in Arkham Knight. The Arkham gameplay has just been so solid ever since Arkham Asylum, and Arkham Knight does wrap it up pretty well. For $4, I think it's a pretty good buy, and I would give that a shout as well, because that is just super cheap for a high-quality title. Alright, next up, Dark Souls 3. Man, oh man, 84% off for $9.59. What a steal of a deal this is. This is by far the cheapest Dark Souls 3 has been, and definitely worth a look here. Now, at this point, you probably made up your mind on whether or not you like the Souls games. I really like them. I thought Dark Souls 3 was excellent. In my opinion, the best game in the Souls franchise. Maybe some of you guys will disagree, but it is awesome. Visuals are great, setting is fantastic, and the boss battles are great. I don't think Dark Souls 3, by the way, is quite as good as Bloodborne, but as far as the three mainline Souls titles, Dark Souls 3 definitely stands out to me as the best. Awesome game, great gameplay, challenging obviously, but these games are also exceedingly rewarding. If you've been hesitant to give the Souls games a shot, give it a shot at least once, especially at a $9.59 price range. I think there's not much to lose and a lot to gain in terms of if you actually enjoy this game. Man, now you just open the floodgates to really get invested to Souls as a franchise. And by the way, with that Demon Souls remake lurking, Bloodborne Remastered, now's a good time as ever to get into Souls and From Software. Lastly, I do want to give a mention to Astrobot Rescue Mission. That is 50% off for $9.99, so this, of course, is a VR-only title. However, Astrobot Rescue Mission is is an awesome platformer. Really, to many people, this is the best VR game. I probably wouldn't go that far, but it is a great platformer that is definitely worthwhile of a pickup, especially if you have VR. Hell, I would say that it's as good of a game to justify picking up a PlayStation VR headset if you're super into platformers. This really harkens back to a lot of old school platformers, but with that VR layer to it, adds a new twist, it adds an authentic feel to it, and it's something of a unique nature given that we haven't seen platformers at this quality level on VR, so I'd give that a strong recommendation, especially at $9.99. That's gonna conclude this video. Again, Days of Play is featuring a lot of great deals, some of them better than others, but all of these south of $10, man, they're not gonna break the bank, but you're gonna get a lot of quality gameplay time out of all of these games. That's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.